Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And you smell that? Where there's smoke, there is fire. And there is a lot of smoke right now around multiple Raiders head coach candidates. I'm going to tell you two people that I have heard the Raiders sniffing around about. And I'm sorry, it's really bad news for Paw Pete. So the way that today's show is going to go, I'm going to get into the Pete Carroll news and rumors. I'm going to get into the coaching rumors as well. Before I do all that, though, today's show is sponsored by Panda Sups. Make sure that you use code RaidersPanda for 25% off at pandasups.com. It's going to help you get the hands on the best workout supplements out there. If you're somebody that gets annoyed that the gym gets packed in January, at least pack up your cabinet with some awesome Panda Sups protein. Telling you, it's going to change your life. Let's go to the bad news here to start this show off for Pete Carroll. And according to NFL insider Ian Rapoport, he said it is doubtful for Carroll to return to the silver and black. Quote, "We'll see if Pete Carroll is there for it. I doubt it, but we will see it." When I hear an NFL insider use the word doubt, and again, I'm not saying that he's confirming anything, but based on what I've heard, based on everything we've heard, based on people I've talked to in the front office, ownership, I know that there's a lot of people ready to move on from Pete Carroll. But the reason why doubtful is an extremely, extremely important word, it's because it's an NFL term. And everybody here that watches the NFL, everybody that watches the National Football League knows when you hear doubtful. Now, I know they don't use it anymore. I kind of actually hate it because I remember the old days when it would be like probable, questionable, doubtful. They don't really do doubtful anymore. It's really just questionable or probable. But when an NFL insider uses the word doubtful, I want you to think about what that term means. Now, if you follow Max Crosby, I still remember the game that mother effer played, even though he said he was doubtful. He's a warrior. Think about the terminology. For Rap Sheet to say doubtful, I think we already know the writing is on the wall. And I'm ready to go. I got my show ready to go. I've already talked to my team here at Chat Sports. When the Raiders fire Pete Carroll, I will be live. 11 hours, 11 minutes. If you're like, Mitch, why is it 11:11? It's because a few weeks ago, probably a few months ago at this point, I was up here on this show, and I said if I could make a wish right now, it would be to move on from Pete Carroll. 11:11, let's make a wish. I once went live for 26 straight hours for Josh McDaniels getting fired. The reason why I'm not going live for more than 11 hours and 11 minutes, because if I do, the YouTube video will not be saved, and unfortunately, I had to learn that one the hard way. This video, I want to be saved, and I'm telling you this right now, if you've had to deal with a tough season, this is going to be, I think, maybe the craziest live show I've done since the firing of Josh McDaniels. Coming up next here on the Raiders Report, the Silver and Black, they are eyeing a certain head coach candidate, and I'm going to go in a little bit more depth around who that candidate is, and then at the very, very end of the show, I'm going to give you another name that I have recently heard that is going to get some people going, that's pretty interesting. Let's go to the name that I've been mentioning probably the most out of any Raiders head coach candidate. It is Jesse Minter, defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. And I've said it probably over the past month that the Raiders are eyeing Jesse Minter to be their next head coach. I am not saying that he is going to get the job. I'm telling y'all right now that if you were to ask me who do I think is the Raiders' number one candidate, I believe it's the DC for the Chargers. The other reason why that I say that is because I said before Michigan ever fired Moore that we were hearing here at Chat Sports. My boss is very, very well tied into Michigan. We were hearing that they were going to move on from Moore. We said that weeks before it ended up happening. I was under the impression that Michigan was going to hire Jesse Minter. Obviously, they went out, they got Utah coach Kyle Whittingham. So for that reason, I'm sitting here going, well, if I thought the number one team was going to steal Minter away from the Raiders, because I do think the Michigan head coaching job is probably better than the Raiders job at the time. Now with the number one overall pick, I think it's very, very much up for debate. But if Minter's available, based on the conversations that I've heard, I believe the number one target to be the Raiders head coach next season will be Jesse Minter. So here's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. Mitch, what the hell's a pinned comment? It's literally the comment underneath this video that I want each and every one of y'all to go answer, and I took the time to pin it. It took a second or two, but you know what? Sometimes I've done my best work in a second or two. Would you want Jesse Minter to be the Raiders head coach? Give me a yes, give me a no. My answer is coming up here after this YouTube ad break. Yes, I would love Jesse Minter to be the head coach. Here's the thing, though. There's a lot of coaches that I would welcome with open arms to the Silver and Black. Is Jesse Minter better than Pete Carroll? Right? We know, right? Like, we know what that answer is. But to me, there are so many coaches that I would take over Pete. But I also want to be very clear. I do have Minter as a top 3 candidate for the Silver and Black based on who I talk to and based on what I believe is best for the Raiders. If you want to see my top 10 head coach candidates in 2026, I put this video out, I don't know, probably a month ago, because I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would say I have been the number 1 person on the Pete Carroll is going to get fired list before anybody else out there, before Rapp, before Schefter, before everybody out there, because I believe my sources, and I'm not trying to be an insider, but I'll say it all the time. If I get information, I'm going to tell y'all. And whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, I don't care. I'm going to give you the information that I hear. And Jesse Minter is a name that everybody has to consider being a legit candidate to be this Raiders' next head coach. Coming up here next on the program, I'm going to tell you why the Raiders are interested in Minter. And I'm going to tell you why connections matter in the National Football League. And I know the word connection might scare fans because Josh McDaniels, Pete Carroll. But the word connection shouldn't scare you. Relationships matter in the NFL. Guys seeing eye to eye matters in the NFL. You know what also matters in the NFL? Being in the best shape you possibly can be. And that's where I'm going to here to help you out with our sponsor, Panda Sups. Use code RaidersPanda. If you don't know how to spell it, honestly, that's on you. You don't even deserve the promo code. 25% off at pandasups.com. And they got all sorts of brand new items. The thing that you see up on screen right now, it's their shakers to make their food taste awesome. And I'm always trying to eat a little bit healthier. They got Hefe Special, roasted veggies, urban butter medley, Texas Heat, Taco Tuesday, the cinnamon honey butter. It's going to blow your mind. Also, what I love, I have packed on a few pounds during the holidays, and sometimes I need that little bit of extra motivation because of how cold it's been down here in Dallas. You take a little bit of that pre-workout scoop of the Panta, it's going to change your game. They also, though, have this other brand new, it's called Pando pre-workout. I do like to pride myself saying that, like, I don't always need pre-workout to get my ass in the gym. But at the same time, sometimes if I need that little bit of an extra pick-me-up, I'm going to end up doing it. Over the holiday break, I think I ate probably 6 s'mores. We were making s'mores with Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. We were making s'mores with, what are they, Ferrero Rocher, which they were incredible. Dark chocolate. Now I'm going to start eating healthier s'mores, and I'm going to start doing the Fuel Premium Protein, which has got 30 grams of protein, 11 mouth-watering flavors. Also, the other thing that I love from Panda is their burn. And this is a thermogenic. It's going to help you literally sweat off a lot of that fat. If you got a little bit of a belly on you from the holidays, get rid of it with Panda Sups. I use it all the time. I have actually never heard anybody tell me anything bad about Panda. I love all the time when y'all tell me how good it is down in the comments section. Pandasups.com, 25% off for Raiders Panda. That's the code. Comments, description down below. Let's go to why the Las Vegas Raiders could hire Jesse Minter to be their next head coach. He's got Michigan ties. Michigan ties matter to Brady. Michigan ties matter to John Spytek. Those are your top 2 people right now that are doing this search for the Raiders head coach, in my personal opinion. Minter was the Michigan DC from 2022 to 2023. I don't know if y'all remember, but the Michigan Wolverines won a national championship in 2003. I definitely remember it. Chugs, I don't know if he does. He took a trip to Vegas when they won with my boss, and I can't tell you the rest of that story. Tom Brady and John Spytek also both went to Michigan and really value the way Michigan builds a program. I've said it 100 times on this show. The Raiders want to build this NFL team like a college team in terms of building a program and a winning program. Minter's been able to do that. Let's go to the Harbaugh tree here. Minter's worked underneath John Harbaugh. He's worked underneath Jim Harbaugh. When you work underneath Harbaugh, giggity, maybe, that matters to Mark Davis. Mark Davis loves the Harbaugh family because Al used to work many, many years ago when he was still obviously the owner of the team. Jim Harbaugh got one of his very first starts with the Raiders. And the fact that Minter's worked with Jim and John since 2017, that matters. Minter was the defensive coordinator at Michigan with Jim Harbaugh. Currently the defensive coordinator underneath Harbaugh right now at the Chargers. Harbaugh matters to Mark Davis. And if it matters to Mark Davis, and if it's important to Tom Brady and John Spytek, you could start to connect the dots here a little bit. Let's go to the next reason why I think they could hire him. He's a young coach. If this team's going to be a rebuild, you can't rebuild with a 74-year-old head coach in Pete Carroll. It was a dumb idea to begin with. Minter's 42. Going to be 43 years old in May. You need somebody that has a proven track record. You need somebody that Mark Davis trusts. You need somebody that Tom Brady and John Spytek trust. And at the young age of 42, look at how good that Chargers defense is playing. They got a lot of talent, but they've also been able to do a lot of special things with it. I'm a believer in Minter. Young coach. Let's bring somebody in that has a flippin' future. No disrespect to Pete. He don't got a future. Minter does have a future. Before we get into the final two reasons why the Raiders could hire Minter, I do want to give a shout out to the Noti gang. These were the very first people to comment on the video that I dropped this morning, which it was a really, really early video. And it was an early video because I saw the fact that the Raiders locked in that top 2 pick. I'm a human just like all y'all. I was like, shit, man, I want to tell Raider Nation about this. So shout out to Stove, Mad Vet Raider, Sean J, Mr. Irish, and then Renee. I see you. I salute you. If you don't know what the Noti gang is, ask somebody. Because the Noti gang is how you get recognized on the show. Because when I'm uploading the video and I hit publish on that bad boy, guess who I see? The Noti gang. Let's go to the next reason here why the Raiders could hire Minter. You steal him away from the Los Angeles Chargers. AFC West experience matters to Mark Davis. Taking somebody away from our AFC West rival should matter to all of y'all. Right now, the Chargers are allowing 20.1 points per game through Week 18. And I know the Chargers just lost to the Texans, but what's something that I say all the time? Good coaches make adjustments. Did y'all see the adjustments Minter made in that game against C.J. Stroud, against the Houston Texans after they gave up those 2 big touchdowns like 6 minutes into the game? They were making Stroud see ghosts. And when you have the ability to implement implement zone, implement man, and mix and match a bunch of different things and have it work, and you confuse somebody as much as they confuse Stroud, a team that's as hot as any team in the NFL right now, Jesse Minter was in his bag. Good coaches make adjustments. Good coaches learn how to make adjustments when you're a part of good coaching cycles. Let's go to the final option here. Quarterback options. If you bring in Minter, you got options. Finding a good head coach is important. Finding a franchise quarterback and making an argument is almost just as important. And I've had a source tell me that Minter is a fan of Mendoza. Now, I think a lot of people are fans of Mendoza. If you're not a fan of Mendoza, I think you're choosing not to be. Now, whether you're a fan of him being number 1 overall pick or not, totally different conversation. But also, Minter's got ties to Indiana. He graduated from Yorktown High School in Indiana. Also, he's got overlap with Lamar Jackson. If you're somebody sitting there that goes, hey, I want the Raiders to either draft Fernando Mendoza or go out and trade for Lamar Jackson, that's me right here. I'll tell you right now, I want Fernando Mendoza, Lamar Jackson. Sign me the F up. He's got overlap with Lamar in Baltimore for multiple seasons from 2017 to 2020. Still part of that Harbaugh tree. The Raiders need a quarterback. The more options that help us get the best quarterback possible is really, really good for the silver and black. And you know what? Speaking of Minter, I'm going to be going live this Thursday, 2026, the first live show of the new league year. Might be to watch our future quarterback. Indiana up against Alabama. I'm going to be going live 30 minutes before this game ends up kicking off. We're going to be rooting for Mendoza. We're going to be rooting for the Indiana Hoosiers. If you're an Alabama fan, I'm sorry, but also I hope that you still tune in. I encourage you to tune in. I want you to tune in. I want you to watch the game with us. Let's have a little bit of fun, because when we do college football games, it's really just about you and I hanging out, us hanging out here, and imagine, we're just all hanging out at a bar, all hanging out at a restaurant, watching Indiana, Alabama. It's literally how this show was made. It's literally how Chat Sports was made. Coming up here next on the show, last up, another spicy head coach rumor around the Raiders, and this is around somebody's name that I've mentioned before on this show. It's around somebody's name that is featured in my top 10 Raiders head coach candidates video, and it's also around a name that's got ties to Tom Brady, and it's a name that I have heard the Raiders are at least looking into. And if the Raiders are already looking into it, it's a name that you guys should keep in mind. The name, Brian Flores. And I don't know if y'all heard Brian Flores' press conference today, but he said, I said this many times, I've loved my time here in Minnesota. Loved. That's past tense. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to hire him, but everybody out there, and I hope what I'm about to say doesn't piss people off, but the Raiders going out and at least showing interest in Brian Flores is a chess to checkers move. And I say that because he is a Rooney Rule potential. Is he way better than the Rooney Rule? Absolutely. Because I feel like when people hear Rooney Rule, people instantly think, oh, you're just bringing in a minority coach to check off a box. This is two birds with one stone. You're going to be able to bring in a coach that honestly deserves to be a head coach in the NFL. I will stand up here right now and I will say Brian Flores deserves to be a head coach in the National Football League. There are not 32 people on this planet better than Brian Flores to being a head coach. So if you're telling me I can check a box with the Rooney Rule, because I don't want to waste people's time. Like last year, the Jags were wasting, I think, Patrick Graham's time because I don't know if they were actually going to give him a head coaching job. That's not fair to those guys. For a guy like Brian Flores, you bring him in, you can check off the Rooney Rule box, but you also bring him in because he is a damn good head coach. Everybody that bleeds silver and black should want the Raiders to bring in Brian Flores for an interview because it is a smart interview for you to do. He's been the Vikings DC since 2023. How many of y'all are sick and tired of watching a bend but don't break defense? I love Patrick Graham, but it's way too conservative. You want a guy that's going to go balls to the wall and bring the heat? That's freaking Brian Flores. He's been a Dolphins head coach from 2019 to 2021. Don't really think he got a fair shake at it. Patriots assistant and coach from 2008 to 18. I know for a fact that Tom Brady and Brian are good now. There were some rumors maybe they weren't good a few years ago. But if Flores comes in, you might be able to bring in a guy like Josh McCown to be your offensive coordinator. Right now, he's the quarterback coach in Minnesota, who also has Sean McVay ties. Sean McVay ties with Brian Flores, I think that is a really, really good recipe for success if the Raiders want to bring him in. What's interesting about these rumors, though, are this. The only names that I have heard personally, again, the only names that I have heard, Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter, Brian Flores. All three are defensive-minded head coaches. The Raiders hired Pete Carroll, defensive-minded head coach. I do wonder if the Raiders had a mindset of, hey, we're going to go defensive mind. We're going to draft some of these offensive-minded guys. I'm not saying that they're going to hire a defensive-minded coach. But right now, the only three names that I know for a fact I've been told, all three of which are defensive-minded head coaches. And Flores, Saleh, Minter are all better than Pete Carroll, which is why this video, really bad news for Pete.